And let's just get this Instagram feed up and running. And there we go. I am Coach James. I am the creator of and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including but not limited to friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic force. After we have learned all the science and we've conducted experiments to drive home those ideas, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything that they have learned in the course. Once they have selected their cars, then they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, the materials the car is made from, all of the information that they can observe. They document and put into a spreadsheet. And then once they have all that information, they have all the science information, then all that's left to do is race the cars. And so they set up a 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip, and they race the cars, and they observe how their cars perform. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select that same car again, or would they make a different choice based on everything that they have learned in the course? In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, and we learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, and all the information you need is in the bio, and we can discuss how to bring our program to your school, your organization, or your special event. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is All About Aerodynamics presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is Wind Tunnel Wednesday? On Wind Tunnel Wednesday, we use the FunTech Labs Windsible, the 1/64 scale wind tunnel, and we take cars, usually Hot Wheels cars, sometimes Matchbox cars, and on occasion some other cars. We put those into the wind tunnel, we turn it on, we see how the air flows over, under, and around those cars, and based on that, we can get an idea of how much drag will impact those cars when they're racing on our track. Well, when do they race on our track? Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific, AtTheTrack.live, live on YouTube and Twitch. We have live Hot Wheels races, and I take an opportunity to go into storage, get cars, pull those out, introduce those into the fleet. So I mentioned the 400 cars that I bring for the students to use. I have way more cars than that in storage. So I take those cars out. I can only bring them to the students after I've cataloged them and entered specific information in. So AtTheTrack.live every Saturday gives me the opportunity to do that. Go into storage, get cars, open them up, introduce them into the fleet, take a picture, get a review, get all my key information into my spreadsheet, and then the cars are ready for the students to use. But wait, there's more. You have the opportunity to participate. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, that address at the bottom of the screen. And there are 3 options when you get to that page. There's the YouTube stream link, the Twitch stream link, but the third link is the most important link. That is the link that says choose your car. If you select that link, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, this series of pages now, you will see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet. We are up to 1,054 cars in the fleet. There are 1,054 different cars for you to look at, for you to check out, for you to consider. And what are you considering them for? You can have a car race in the races live on Saturday. All you have to do is find the car that you think is going to be faster than all the cars that I've introduced, that the other viewers have picked, and take that number. Let's say you decide it is car number 269, this one, the 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. You can click on it, you can get a close-up view, you can, usually from the reflection, you can kind of tell if it is a metal body on a plastic base or a plastic body on a metal base, in some cases metal on metal. And if that is the car that you think is going to be faster than the others, all you have to do is take that number, in this case 269, you take that, drop it in the chat, and I will pull that car, and just like that, you will be entered into the tournament. Now, if you do that same thing today, and you pick a car, and you find the car that you like, that you're considering picking, and you decide, I want to see the aerodynamic profile of this car. I need to see it in the wind tunnel. Then all you have to do is same thing. Find the car you want. Maybe it's this one, the, let's see. Maybe it's this 63 Chevy with the gold bottom. Maybe it's that one. If it is that one, all you have to do is take that number, 325, drop it into the chat, and I will pull that car, and then we will put it into the wind tunnel. And ultimately, what you're trying to do is find a car with a good enough aerodynamic profile that you can reasonably try and predict how it will perform on the track on Saturday. And there is a bit of, there is something to it. We can tell from the cars being in the wind tunnel a little bit about how they're going to perform on the track. Not always, but in most cases, it is very helpful. Well, anyway, once you decide on your car and you pick your car, the car that you will be trying to beat, first of all, if you pick a car and you're in the tournament, you've got to beat out all the other cars that I introduced. And then you've got to beat out the cars that the other viewers have picked. And then, last but not least, you're going to have the opportunity to go up against our fastest in fleet car. And our fastest in fleet car is the car that's won the tournament the previous week. And in the case of this fastest in fleet car, this one, the BlitzSpeeder, this has been our fastest in fleet car for the last 2.5, 3 months or so. It is, without question, if not one of the fastest Hot Wheels cars on the planet. We're going to go ahead and say that because there's lots of Hot Wheels racing online. There are plenty of different types and styles of tracks. Our track is the fastest. And there really is not a comparison that I've seen, only because most of the other tracks, hey Jamie, 325, yeah, that's a nice car. That is a nice car. But yeah, most of the other Hot Wheels tracks and races are gravity tracks. And with gravity tracks, there's different considerations and things you want to take into consideration when you're picking a car, and different factors that make cars better for gravity tracks. Our track is a flat drag track. If you've never seen it before, I invite you to join us on Saturdays to really see what we're doing. And it is a 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip. We put the cars side by side, fire them off, and they are moving quickly. We hit scale speeds up around 500 miles per hour. And ultimately, what that means is that drag is the most important force that is affecting these cars as they go down the track. And this car, the BlitzSpeeder, has the absolute best aerodynamic profile we've seen, and so it's always the first car into the wind tunnel. So let's go ahead and switch over to our wind tunnel view and get the BlitzSpeeder set up here. And the BlitzSpeeder, when we put it in the wind tunnel, I said before that you're not always going to get the full story and the full picture about a car when it's in the wind tunnel. But with the BlitzSpeeder, we get some very good information. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up. Right to our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour. And with the BlitzSpeeder, the main thing that we're always looking at and looking for when we put cars in the wind tunnel is how the air flows over, under, and around the car. Now, for the most part, we're usually looking at how the air is flowing over the top of the cars because almost all of the Hot Wheels cars are flat on the bottom. So they're pretty much equal in that regard. It's what's happening up top that actually makes the difference. And what we're talking about is looking at that first line of airflow how it hits right at the nose, comes up over the hood, the windshield, to the roof line, across the roof line, back to this wing, and then off the car. That is not what we see. We're going to push this speed up so we can get a better idea of what we're looking at. Up to 121 miles per hour. And essentially, what you want to see is you want to see that airflow staying attached to the body of the car. Just like we're seeing right here with that first stream hitting right at the nose and flowing right up. We're not seeing separation. And when we put some of the other cars in here a little later, you will start to see that separation. And the airflow, we're up to 147 miles per hour. When the air separates from following along the lines of the car, there is a change in pressure. And that pressure is lower where that separation occurs. It's higher at the front of the car where the air is impacting the front of the car and then having to flow over, under, and around. And when you have that pressure differential, you're going to have pressure drag essentially working from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. And the car is trying to move, if we're looking at this example, the car is trying to move to the left. It's going from the right to the left. But if there's flow separation and we end up with lower pressure here, higher pressure there, now you're going to get pressure drag, which is going to be going from left to right. It's essentially going to be working against the car's forward momentum. And cars that have that kind of separation do very poorly on the track. We see it week after week. They start to slow down toward the back end of the track, and it's very interesting to watch, and it's very clear, and it's something that you don't really see so much on a gravity track, but on our track, a flat drag track, you see it all the time. And the BlitzSpeeder pretty much has the best aerodynamic profile of any car that we've put into the wind tunnel, and that kind of explains why it performs so well on the track, and you just don't see any separation. So what we'd have to do is when we put in some of these other cars, right now we're up to 161 miles per hour, and I am going to slow this down as we take a look at some of the other cars that we have. And we have pretty much two ways of going about things. We have cars that we look at in the wind tunnel first, and then we see race on the track on Saturday. And then we have cars that race on the track on Saturday that we're going to see for the first time in the wind tunnel. So one of those cars that raced on Saturday, and I mean, when I say car, I'm being very, very generous because it is not a car. It is this one. It is the Dragtor. It is a drag racing tractor, and we put this one on the track on Saturday. We cracked open the package, put this one on the track. Had to make a minor modification. Usually I don't like to do anything to these Hot Wheels cars, just take them out of the pack and let them race. But this one had these exhausts they were sticking up a little too high, and it couldn't fit into the launcher properly. So I had to just cut them down about 1/4 of an inch, and that was that. And then this thing raced on the track. So what we're going to do is stick it in the wind tunnel, and I don't think we're really going to be able to get a great idea about how drag was impacting this thing because it's such an odd shape and style. And I think the wind tunnel truly is better for cars that are more traditional cars. With the fantasy cars, outside of cars like the BlitzSpeeder. The wind tunnel doesn't necessarily tell us a whole lot, but we are still going to, we're going to line the Dragtor up in here and see how aerodynamic the drag racing tractor can be. It did, if you want to see how it actually performed, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can see all of the episodes of At The Track Live are listed under the Live tab, and they are time coded. So if you just want to jump to a specific part of the episode, you can do that. Or you can watch the whole thing. Whatever you want to do, you are welcome to do it. And hey, Roughshod, we're seeing with this one, even though it's very narrow, and this is just at the cruising speed of 67 miles per hour, but we see how narrow this thing is. And it's a little bit off center, but it's still, there's just the one area for the air to hit, and we're seeing it right there. It's just lining up. It's like a wall. It's a little rectangular wall, and that air is just hitting right there, and then it's having to flow over, under, and around. So let's go ahead and turn the speed up. And we're not really seeing anything that we didn't expect. There is a lot of turbulence right here, but that's because the air doesn't have anything to follow. There's nothing for, with the BlitzSpeeder, the air is flowing along the body of the car. But with this one, with this tractor, pretty much breaks off right here. And we've got the steering wheel, and other than that, there's nothing for the air to actually follow in terms of the body of the thing. So, you know, this performed about as well as you would expect a drag racing tractor to, even though it had those impressive wheels. I do like the wheel combination on this thing. This was not the car overall to really shock us on the track. And this is at 107 miles per hour. And as we turn up the speed, not really seeing much different. But that was the Dragtor that raced. But we also had this next one, which is the one I'm kind of interested in seeing in the wind tunnel. Is we had, let me switch over here. We had another Prius. This time it was a Matchbox Prius, which is the blue one. And prior to that, a few weeks ago, we had the Hot Wheels version, the new Hot Wheels version of the Prius. And the Hot Wheels version, the white one, had this big, I suppose it's a luggage rack compartment thing on the top that kind of shot up like a wide fin on the top. And when we put this in the wind tunnel, what we saw was the air hitting, coming up the hood, the windshield, to the roof line. And when it got to this thing, then it just kind of started to really tail off, and we started to see separation. And I was saying at the time, I think that if this car, this Prius, had not had this attached, it probably would have done better. And then I came across this one, this Matchbox version of the Prius that does not have anything on the top, more of a standard design. And what we know is that on our track, Matchbox cars tend not to do very well, and that still was the case with this Prius. I mean, it was okay, but nothing. It didn't come out on top, put it like that. And there's a lot of different reasons and theories, but when you look at these, you can tell that the Hot Wheels version of the Prius is much wider. Hot Wheels tends to do that, like kind of exaggerate the proportions of the car, whereas this one is more directly a 1/64 scale version of a Prius. But what I want to do is put this into the wind tunnel and see if the aerodynamic profile is any better than what we saw from the Hot Wheels Prius. So let's go ahead and take a look, jump back over here, throw this thing in Prius, and let's see if I can get it to stay in place. I think I can. We'll take a look at this one. See what that aerodynamic profile is like. Gonna go ahead and hit our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour. And just from the initial look, aerodynamic profile, pretty good. Pretty good. We're going to push this up to 107 miles per hour. And just like with the BlitzSpeeder, what you're looking for is the air separating from following along the body of the car? And in this case, the answer is no. At least at 107 miles per hour, the answer is no. So let's go ahead and turn this speed up, see what we see. We might see a little more separation between those first and second smoke trails. 134 miles per hour is where we're at with this one, with this Prius. And the air is kind of building up in the front just a bit, and then it has to go over, under, and around. But the air that's going over the top, over the hood, up the windshield, across the roof line, and down the back, we're up to 134. We're going to push this to 147. This is very good aerodynamic profile with the Prius. Very good indeed. All right, let's push this up a little more. Up to 161 miles per hour. And we are, that is a very good, so this is what you don't see. When we put in other cars, usually more like traditional cars, right at the roof line, right about here, the back of the roof line, is where the airflow, there tends to be that separation. With this one, similar to that Porsche we had a few weeks ago, and like the BlitzSpeeder, the air is coming up, hitting the front grille, coming up over the hood, the windshield, the roof line, and staying attached to the body of the car right until it pulls off the back, hits that little spoiler. And this is excellent. This is an excellent aerodynamic profile. We're up to 161 miles per hour, pushing it up to 174. And what this suggests is this Prius has a fantastic aerodynamic profile, but it didn't do so well on the track, which makes me think it's a Matchbox issue. And I don't know, even though Mattel makes Matchbox and makes Hot Wheels, the Matchbox cars are not as fast. They're not necessarily heavier or lighter. They, come in the same range of weight as the Hot Wheels. Now here's what I want to do. I'm going to put the Hot Wheels version in here and see if we can see a difference in these. Presuming I can get it to stay straight. All right, let's see if it'll stay put. Slam the lid down. Actually, I'm not going to slam it. I'm going to gently press it. All right. Now let's see. This is the Prius with the luggage rack. And yeah, we're seeing this is at 107 miles per hour. It's not as clean. The airflow is not as clean. But what we're seeing is it comes off of this luggage rack fin and just detaches completely from the body of the car. Thereby, where that happens, we're getting a pressure change, pressure difference here. And it would be creating additional pressure drag. We're up to 134 miles per hour, and you can just see how much more turbulent the air is at the back end of this car than the other version that didn't have the luggage rack. So the thing is this: if you take a Prius and you don't put this luggage rack thing on there, you have a great aerodynamic profile. If Hot Wheels makes a Prius without the luggage rack, without these sort of additional sort of race-inspired pieces, then perhaps we could have an actual great racing car on our track. But what we have now is this Prius, this Hot Wheels Prius, with a bad aerodynamic profile. But we have a Matchbox Prius with a great aerodynamic profile, but it's a Matchbox. And I don't know what it is. There is something different. There's no question there's some difference between the Matchbox cars and the Hot Wheels cars. And the Hot Wheels cars are almost 99% of the time faster. So if Hot Wheels, I haven't really kind of checked into what's out there, what versions they're making. But if they make this same Prius, but without the luggage rack, I'm in. I think we might have a great contender. Hey Christopher, how you doing? Yeah, thank you. That cold just had to kind of work its way out. This one was another interesting car that we had racing on Saturday. The Turbulence Tug. Not Turbulence, Turbulence Tug. And it came as a part of the Super Rig set, and it had a trailer that turned into an airplane, and then an airplane that went on top of the trailer that turned into an airplane. That wasn't why I wanted to see it on the track. I wanted to see it on the track because of this flat back end right here was going to press up against the launching block, and because there wasn't a lot up top to really disrupt the airflow. And it did pretty well. The Turbulence Tug. Let's go ahead and put it into the wind tunnel and see what we see. Switch over here. And now this one, kind of, so I think I'm going to have to use the magnet because it won't stay put. So sometimes we'll just set the cars on this magnet to keep them straight. This is a long, I guess technically it's supposed to be a big rig, but my thing with this, and what I'm curious to see, is right here in the front. How much air is going to get trapped in this little area here? And then what's going to happen? I think we're going to see it build up there and then kind of spill out around the sides. Let's take a look. Had to make some minor modifications to this car. Had to trim down a little bit of the engine components just to make it fit on the track. As I always like to remind people, I don't make modifications to cars other than if I have to trim something to make it fit on the track. Beyond that, I don't add graphite to the wheels. I don't swap out axles or anything like that. It's just as what you see is what you get. So with this one, at the cruising speed, let's go ahead and turn the speed up and see what we can see. 121 miles per hour. And if you look at that second stream right here, you can see it's coming up over the top, flowing down, because there's nothing to get in its way. There's nothing to disrupt that airflow. I am seeing, you can see like little drifts of air right here, and that's from that air that is hitting this portion of the car and then coming around the sides. So let's go ahead and push this speed up. Oh, see, just as I'm pushing the speed up, this thing wants to turn the speed down, but I wasn't done seeing what the Turbulence Tug had to offer. But even in the back, you can see all of this air, these little kind of flickers. It's just air that's passing around the edges. I'm going to turn this up to 134. Take a look over the top. It's a little tough to see. You can kind of see it there. And the way that we know that that air is coming from somewhere else is because the air from the wind tunnel, the smoke, it only comes from the center. So when you see air on the sides of the car, you know that somehow it has been, the air stream and flow has been deflected so that it's now hitting those areas. Car, truck. I've never seen a truck that looks like this. So I guess technically you can call it a truck, but until I see one that actually looks like this, it still stays in the fantasy car realm. But the point of this is that we got it to fit on the track. It performed fine, and I think if we had larger vehicles going up against each other, this one would probably be pretty competitive. All right, so I don't know that one, actually it may get, I can see that one getting picked. But we have two cars waiting that, as I wind this down, that Christopher is considering. And the first one is this one, which is interesting. I remember racing this a long time ago. The Krazy 8s. And this is a wild concept and design. And yeah, this is definitely it's got Krazy 8s. And this is definitely, like, this is, when I say that putting the cars into the wind tunnel, usually we can get an idea, except in the case of certain fantasy cars, because there's so many different strange and unique elements that are on those cars, that go into those cars, that it's hard to really kind of tell, just based on them being in the wind tunnel, what their aerodynamic profile really is. And with a traditional car, you know, it's fine to just send the smoke trail right down the middle, because that's what, you know, there's not going to be much variation. If we had a Hyundai Sonata, we're not really getting a a lot of variation from the left side to the right side versus the center, which is not the case with the Krazy 8s. This is might have to go with the magnet if I can't get this to stay put. All right, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and fire this up. And I think what we definitely would see are, hey, socks. With this one, this is at 107 miles per hour. And I think this one is off center just a little bit. Hold on. And the reason why that matters with this one is because the center of this one is different than the left and right side. Well, I'm sorry. The center is different than the left and right sides. The left and right sides are exactly the same. Let's go ahead and push this up to 107 miles per hour. And we can already see turbulent air right here. So the air is coming in, it's hitting right at that sort of driver's canopy nose cone coming up, and then it's just detaching. There's nothing there's nothing really for it to follow in terms of the body lines. If I raise this up a bit, you can kind of see how in between the engines, that area in the middle, it just kind of dips down. It's almost like it's like a valley. So you can kind of see right there that air is coming up off the driver's canopy and then just sort of releasing up into the air. And that is not going to be helpful. Like, this car is definitely unique in that it has kind of it's very decorative. It's got a lot of little things to look at, and depending on how the light hits it, it kind of shimmers in a different way, which is cool. But if we're just talking about racing down the track and beating out other cars, then all of those little extra things that kind of look cool aren't necessarily helpful when we're talking about trying to be the fastest car. Now we're up to 147 miles per hour, and the faster an object is moving through the air, the more drag has an impact. And as I turn up the speed, you can see it's getting worse. Getting more turbulent and just getting worse with speed. And that is what happens. Pushing this up to 174 miles per hour, and it's not good. And the thing is, this is the best part of this car. I mean, in terms of, if we're talking about like an aerodynamic profile, the center is the most streamlined area. The sides, where you have the engines sticking up, is not at all. That's the least aerodynamically efficient part of this car. So this one it'll have a challenge. I remember racing it. I don't remember how it did. I know that it didn't win the tournament back then, but I don't remember which car was champion or how far this one got. But that is an option that Christopher is considering. The other car that he's considering now, I think the other car he's considering has will probably have a much better shot. It is this one. It is the Mach It Go. And this one I like for a lot of reasons. The one thing I have noticed is that the driver's canopy is open, but the windshield kind of comes up so high And the side windshields kind of also come up very, very high. So I think that what we'll see is this airflow, it's either going to come up over the top and continue to the back, or it's going to detach. If it detaches, that's probably not so good for this car. But in the event that it just kind of flows over the windshield and right to the back and then interacts with this wing, that would be better. That would be better. Yeah, and it does have these openings here on the sides and here in the back, like right underneath the wing. And the question with the openings on the sides is, do they go through? And they do not. So looking at these openings, let me see if I can get a better view. When we're looking at this opening right here, air can pass into there, into this area. If it's flowing along the sides, it can pass into there. But in the back, if we look, oh, let me get my, right here, this is just a solid, it's a solid plastic piece right there behind the wheel. So the air can go in, but it can't get out. It's like the old, used to have these commercials for these roach motels. The roaches can check in, but they can't check out. The air can get in, but it can't get out. So let's go ahead and put this in the wind tunnel and see what it looks like, and if the Mach It Go is going to end up being Christopher's choice. It also has an opening right here in the front, which is probably a good thing. I don't know where, it's hard to see with these cars where the other openings are. Okay, so with this one, there's this opening in the front, so air can flow in there, and then it can actually come out right through there. So it can come in here, come up, and then that actually should work out. We might have to put this on the magnet in order to see that effect play out, but let's just start off with this thing right here. And go ahead and fire it up. Get to our cruising speed, 67 miles per hour. And what we're seeing appears to be, at this low speed, looking at that first airstream coming up, hitting the bumper, coming up over the nose, across the hood, and right here we're seeing it jump over that driver's canopy and flow to the back. Let's go ahead and turn the speed up, because these cars will be going up. And see, once we get to 107 miles per hour, you're seeing that separation immediately. And pushing this up to 121. Let me see. Rough Shot wants to take a look at car 347 and 571. All right. When we looked at the BlitzSpeeder, and when we looked at that first Prius, that Matchbox Prius, we talked about how it was important that the airflow stayed attached to the body of the car if you wanted to reduce the impact of drag. This is the opposite of that. This airflow is breaking away almost immediately. It's coming up and then just flowing away from the body of the car, which is kind of interesting, because if Christopher, if he does pick this one, I'll be curious to see how it does on the track, because just at a glance, it seems like it should do well. And maybe it could. Maybe it could do well. Maybe it will do well. But this is not you know, what we see in the wind tunnel is not definitive, but it does usually kind of give us an idea about what we're going to see on Saturday when these cars hit the track. Now we're up to 134 miles per hour. And what's interesting is you are seeing the air pass through that opening in the hood. So you can see some air is coming in right there, right at the right there, and then it's coming up through that opening. But the most important issue and factor is that that air is still separating once it gets to this point. All of this separation, that lower pressure right there, not ideal. Not ideal. Let's see. You want to move it to the side. And this one, we can move it to the side. I don't know that we'll see what we may or may not see. Move this over. Actually, I have a feeling it might be, let's see, it may be worse. So let's see, move this over. I'll show the overhead view to show how I've positioned this in just a minute. All right, let's turn the speed up. And I think that the fact is that we don't have, so you can see I've changed the alignment. So you can see some of the air that is just moving around the sides of the car. And with the way that air pattern is, you can tell that it is turbulent. And that means that it's not just flowing along the body of the car. And this is pretty much that side profile. I'm going to grab Roughshod's cars and we'll take a look at those. All right, we're going to wind this down and check out. So let's see, Roughshod is looking at, let's see, we are, is this one, hang on. So this is the first one that he is considering, and I'm just double checking on the 347 on the name. Yeah, the Covelight. I thought that's what it was. I think this one raced on our, oh, I guess it would help if I got it in focus. There we go. I think this one may have raced during our Halloween episode when we took all the Halloween themed cars and brought those to the track. Check those out. We had the Covelight, I think was one of them, because this one is one, I forget what year this was. Probably says right on the top. Happy Halloween. Nope, sometimes these sort of holiday issues, they'll say what year it is. But the Covelight, let's go ahead and put that into the wind tunnel. And first of all, I don't think, are the windshield, no, the windows, the cabin is all sealed up, which is usually a pretty good thing. So let's go ahead and take this to the wind tunnel, see what we see. And Christopher says he's going with the Mach It Go. I think that's a good, solid choice. This car here, and looking at it, it's definitely longer than some of the other cars that we've had racing. It seems like it's up there with the Turbulence Tug in terms of length. But let's go ahead and fire this up. Another fantasy car with an interesting side profile. And we've got that airflow hitting right at the nose coming up. We're at 67 miles per hour, which is our cruising speed. So let's go ahead and turn the speed up so we can get a better idea of how this air is flowing over, under, and around this car. We're up to 121 miles per hour, and it actually looks good. One of the things that we can tell is that this first airstream is hitting the nose of the car right there at the grill, coming up over the hood, coming across the hood to this windshield, and then to the roof line, and then dropping off. And the way that we know that the air is following along the lines of the body of the car, at least at this speed, is because that second airflow is not disrupted. If the first airflow was detaching and pushing up, then we would see that reflected in the second airstream. That would also get disrupted. Let's go ahead and turn the speed up to 147 miles per hour. And the fact that we still see the separation between the first and second smoke trails lets us know that the first flow of air coming out and is hitting right at the front, coming up over the hood, the windshield, the roof line, and tailing off. And that's at 147 miles per hour. Let's push it up to 174. This one's pretty good. Pretty good. And then the Windsible was like, you've seen enough. But that was a pretty good, not just pretty good, very good aerodynamic profile. Now this is a bigger car, so how that's going to play into it, I don't know. But it's also, there's a lot of plastic. Everything that you can see, all that kind of grayish exterior is plastic. So that may work in this car's favor. Now the other one that Roughshod is considering is this one, the Airuption, which I'm thinking this is kind of like, oh wait, is this the one with the wings that pull out? This is the Airuption. Has these wings that pull out. Of course, we're not going to race it with the wings out, but the wings pull out nonetheless. I think we had another car, Buzzkill or something like that, that also had wings that pulled out. I forget specifically which car it was, but yeah. The Airuption. It's small, and let's go ahead and throw it in the wind tunnel. It does have a kind of fighter jet. I mean, that's what made me, I was looking at it and like, yeah, that looks a little bit like a stealth bomber-y kind of fighter jet. And that's what made me think to try and pull the wings out. And there they are. So let's put the wings in. Take a look at it that way. Now let's throw it in the wind tunnel. See what we see. This may ultimately be one that we also put on the magnet. The Mach It Go, I'll check in just a second. The Mach It Go is all plastic on a metal base. I will show it after we take a look at the Airuption. So right now we're hitting our cruising speed and not really seeing anything that we didn't expect, because there's not much on the upper part of this car to disrupt that airflow. So let's go ahead and push the speed up to 107 miles per hour. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't switch over. There we go. Now we can see we are at 107 miles per hour, and there is a little bit of, actually no, I'm not really seeing much. I think we're gonna have to lift this one up, just because this car sits so low that it's almost beneath that first smoke stream, and it's not really hitting the car until it really hits the driver's canopy there. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise this one up, and then once I raise it up, then we'll be able to kind of get a better idea of the kind of interaction this thing is going to have, the kind of drag it is likely to encounter on the track. As I mentioned, drag is the most significant force that impacts these cars when they are racing on our track. It is a flat drag track. They are going at scale speeds of over 500 miles per hour, and we can see the impact of drag every week. It's usually at the back end of the track when one car just begins to slow inexplicably. Well, it is explainable, but when one car starts to slow and the other car passes it up, it is very clear that a better aerodynamic profile will reduce the impact of drag and allow a car to maintain more of its speed for longer. We're up to 121 miles per hour. Going to go ahead and push this to 134. And not really seeing anything to suggest this car is going to have a problem. It is smaller, so it's going to be light, and while we always put a lot of emphasis on drag, gravity is one of the other forces that is at play. So gravity, friction, and drag, of the three, if we had to rank them in order of significance, for most cars and most of the matchups, drag is going to have the biggest impact on the outcome of the race. And gravity, if you get a car that's too heavy or too light, drag will still impact those in different ways. But especially if it's a heavy car, now you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage. With the wings out, no, it won't fit in with the wings out. But I remember, let's see, pushing this up to 174 miles per hour. Now what is good is we're not seeing that separation. When we turn the speed up on the Mach It Go, we just saw the air just basically detaching from following along the body of the car, and that's not ideally what you want to see. What you want to see is something more like this, where the air is coming in, the air that's flowing over the top of the car is staying locked in and attached to the body, and that is going to be reducing the impact of drag on this car. Now, whether or not it has what it takes to beat out the other cars that it's going to face on Saturday, we will just have to find out. So we have the Airuption that Roughshod is considering. And then we have the Covelight. The Covelight has a, well, I'm not going to say better because the aerodynamic profile on this one, especially being that it's designed after a fighter jet or a stealth bomber or something, is pretty good. And the Covelight, pretty good. The question is, does Roughshod want to go with the lighter car, or does he want to go with the bigger car? Because just based on the aerodynamic profiles, you're not really going to go wrong with either one. So you've got the Airuption with the optional wing spread, and I thought I had one around here. Oh, here it is. The launcher. Yeah, with the wings in, it just barely fits. So, yeah, there's no room for the wings to spread. So that's good. I'm wondering if this Krazy 8 was going to fit. Yeah, it fit. But that's not the one that Christopher picked. So we're going to find out. Depending on which car Roughshod goes with, we will have the Mach It Go ultimately in the mix with either the Airuption or the Covelight, and then whatever other cars that I have to introduce, and I do have some. I have a few of them right here, and we're going to have a first this Saturday. One of the cars that is going to be introduced, it will be the first time that this specific brand of cars has ever raced on the track. So there's going to be something new on Saturday. And of course we will be racing these cars. Okay, so Roughshod is going with the Covelight, and I'm trying to think if I'd have to go back and look. And of course all the episodes are on our YouTube channel under the live tab, but I would have to go back and look to see how the Covelight performed. I think it was in that Halloween tournament, but based on what we saw in the wind tunnel, it should do well. And then we have the Mach It Go, very interesting car, just based on what we saw in the wind tunnel. Personally, I think that car has a shot. Very good shot, just based on a couple of the other cars I know that are going to be racing. But we'll see. We'll see if that car, based on what we saw in the wind tunnel, I would expect that car, the Mach It Go, will start to slow down toward the back end of the track. Might not happen like that, but just based on everything we've seen and what we saw in the wind tunnel, it's kind of what I think may happen. But even cars that slow down toward the end due to drag, if they've built up a big enough lead, doesn't matter if they slow down because they have enough of a lead to win the race. So this is why the wind tunnel helps us get an idea about the amount of drag the car is going to be impacted by, and gives us an idea about how a car will perform on the track. But until we get them on the track, you just never know. So that is part of the fun. Sometimes we come across sleepers. Other times cars just get put to sleep by the BlitzSpeeder. It just really depends on what's happening. So everyone should feel free to join us at the track live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific. And we will be back here next Wednesday for more Wind Tunnel Wednesday, putting cars into the wind tunnel, checking out the aerodynamic profiles, seeing how drag will impact them when they race. If you want more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics, AAaerodynamics.com is the place to go, or follow us on Instagram, click the bio. All the information is there. And then, of course, our brand new 24/7 Lo-Fi Hot Wheels channel. It's got Hot Wheels videos, lo-fi music. You can throw it on in the background and just chill. So that is everything we have going on. Wind Tunnel Wednesday, At The Track Live, lo-fi, 24/7 Hot Wheels channel, and all about aerodynamics. So with all that, I am Coach James, and until next time, I will see you at the races.